Dudes, what is up? Hopefully y'all are doing well on this wonderful Wednesday evening. We're going to talk a bit about the Iran war and all that just really exciting stuff that you guys are just always so enthralled to hear about, because obviously everybody just loves war, right? It's not like, 95% of the population advocates against war, at least 75%, right? No, not at all. In fact, we're just big warmongers. It's not the elites, the warmongers. It's the citizens because we totally opted in for this war. Especially here in the U.S. Just saying. Just saying. All right. I have to check and see if we're even live on fucking Twitch because that fucking dumbass fucking garbage. Sit here and like double check everything. See if it's actually even showing that I'm live right now. See if it's actually it is. Okay, so we'll just have to edit it this way, I guess, for a while. So we get everything fixed at least, right? That copy chatting. Yup. And then alright. We'll get Rumble chats going and then we will be square to go, you guys. So sorry about the bit of a late delay in the start here, although I guess technically it's normal, but still I want to do better. So yeah. We'll go ahead and bring. The fuck was I doing? Oh, that's right. Streamer configuration, edit. So that's good to go. Black channel, pop out, copy. Let's drag that over here. Alrighty. So, custom docs. But yeah, so basically, you guys, now that's all done and taken care of, we were right yet again. Shocker that the peace deals didn't reign true. Who would have thought that after, like 50 plus times of the US president or current US president saying, oh, we have a peace deal, it's 2 days away, right? Just like the nukes. Oh, they're 2 days away or they're 2 weeks away from having nuclear weapons in Iran, which anybody with a brain who's done any bit of research can tell you that's not at all true. They only had nuclear enrichment, and it was so ungodly hard for them to have a nuclear weapon, even if they wanted to, or it would be, I should say, simply because of what happened during the Obama administration and the rigorous, loopholes they have to go through just to sit here and have nuclear enrichment. They go through more rigorous surveillance and testing than any other fucking country on nuclear weapons, you guys. I'm just saying. And by the way, for those of you guys who are true patriots, JFK never wanted Israel to have nuclear arms, by the way, too. But shocker there, after he died, they got it. I'm shocked it was Lyndon B. Johnson that enabled that to happen, too, shortly after. Just saying. But, yeah, so basically what happened ultimately was, oh, Trump and his administration are saying, "Oh, we're gonna have these peace talks. We're gonna have these peace talks, right? We're really close to it's the best peace deal ever." Essentially, is what Trump would say. Um, and then what happens? Oh, Israel starts bombing another place in Lebanon that they said they weren't gonna bomb, right? So again, we'll take a middleman's ground on this, right, you guys? So you even if you think that Trump himself is innocently intended, right? Which, I mean, I could always be wrong. Maybe he is. Although at this point, I feel like many of us now are saying that he knows what the fuck he's doing or he's deranged. It's one of the two. Um, but, like, literally, they're doing nothing to stop Israel from continuously breaking this shit or, like, these peace negotiations, right? If they were genuinely serious about it, they wouldn't continue to let Israel bomb these other countries. In fact, they wouldn't be merging the U.S. military with the Israel military, by the way, you guys. I'm just saying. Just saying. And sharing our directed energy beam tech, which was also acknowledged and said that we have inside this Senate bill as well too. The Freedom Bill, I believe is what it called, that passed in February um, of this year. It's like Senate Bill 4,000 something. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. But so it's really ironic because we have Congress merging our military together with Israel, and take whatever stance you want on that, but that's the case. Ironically enough, they also sat on the information that Israel was spying on top fucking U.S. officials with Stingray devices, mind you. By the way, and that's according to um, like Kyle Seraphin and ex FBI whistleblowers, etc. Like people that know what they're talking about and are, well established inside the intelligence community and know how it works. You feel me? And they have ex CIA operatives, etc. Like talking about this stuff. Basically, there's people that are, well knowledgeable about how the intelligence apparatus works. But basically, we had officials in the intelligence community sitting on the fact of the matter that we knew that Israel is committing acts of espionage against the U.S. to keep tabs on Trump to make sure he stays in line, essentially. Which arguably any other country we'd be like, oh my God, this cannot happen. What the fuck is this? Ready to go to war, essentially, right? Well, but since it's Israel, we'll just roll over, aka like enabling a narcissistic fucking leadership to have free reign in our fucking country, a foreign like entity. It doesn't matter. You feel me? Like I said, I don't have any issues with Israel itself. I have issues, or I shouldn't say I don't have issues with the Israeli people and the Jewish people. I love them. They're pretty cool people. A lot of the people I have met have been pretty cool and chill. I had Jewish friends growing up. I loved them just as much as I would anybody else, because I'm all for, exercising your freedom of belief, because I am pro First Amendment, as any true patriot would be, right? Regardless of the things I've learned over the years, I still am, more than happy to be friends with somebody who happens to believe in religion, if they're getting in touch with a higher power, who am I to judge, right? If it makes them happy, who am I to judge? As long as they're not harming themselves or others, who the fuck gives a shit, right? But I do have an issue with Bibi Netanyahu and the corrupt Israeli regime that's fucking over innocent civilians first off, and people, and then second off the world economy and my own country as well too, because they don't give a shit. They just use and abuse people because they are narcissists. Like, just saying. But so like we're enabling that shit, you guys. We'll go ahead and look at these clips here, but basically what happened was, we have these great peace deals happening, the best peace deals ever, and then Israel bombs another part of Lebanon, which was a no-go for the peace negotiations, mind you. So, oops, wow, shocker there, he blew it again. It's almost like he's trying to keep himself out of jail or something, potentially, and then we just do nothing. And then, apparently, this is propaganda in my mind, in all honesty. That or it's a mistake. I'm going to assume propaganda. But Russian Times basically said that Iran downed an Apache attack helicopter, it was unmanned. But there's a lot of lying afoot around it.
Facilities yesterday, up to 20,000 people now in Iran without water. By the way, this is how we liberate these people. We take away their water. We're here for...
We did that, by the way, just saying.
Liberty. We take away your water. Next is food and, pretty much kill you. That's how we win your hearts and minds. Trump was asked this morning what he plans to do next, and it's hit them hard, but we're close to a deal. Okay, so this is what you do. You bomb people that you're close to a deal.
This is ass backwards. Oh, what are you going to do next? We're going to hit them hard, but we're close to a deal. It's like, if you want peace negotiations, stop hitting them hard, quote unquote, as you say, man. Just as long as they're not doing anything to you, don't do anything to them. You both have ceasefires. wait, isn't that part of the agreement? It's already fucking, backfiring right there. They're already backpedaling just with that statement.
Deal with. He also admitted that Trump also admitted today that they have been stealing millions of barrels of oil from Iran under the dark of night, and that Iran just found out. Listen.
Which I'm just announcing today for the first time, but we've been taking out millions of barrels of oil, millions of barrels. Every night we took out oil, but now I'm going to tell you because they just figured it out. So now that they figured it out, I can tell you. It was very hard for me. I wanted to say it so badly, but I didn't want to ruin it, but it was very hard. But millions of barrels of oil has come out.
Yeah. All those like.
We're making peace deals, and then we're stealing millions of barrels of oil. By the way, you guys, that's actually our oil, more than likely. Just saying, we're using our reserve oil that we have stockpiled, and that's the reason why like gas hasn't been extremely high, like it should be arguably. It's been relatively low actually, so we haven't felt the real impact. If you guys pay attention to anything we said in the last like 2 videos, 2 streams, etc. Basically, no later than July 4th is what the prediction is for when we start basically hitting rock bottom in our oil reserves. And that's when, people are really going to start feeling things, and the economy is really going to start to go down the shitter, right? So, get a extra gas can right now, you guys. 2, so that way you can do stuff for emergencies, but prepare for long lots at the gas pump, and it's like high ass prices by the 250th anniversary of our country. Just saying. Like great way to celebrate Independence Day, right? And like they say in this video, seemingly we aren't really independent. We're actually becoming more dependent on a nation that actually fucks us in the ass and bends us over, and then fucking proceeds to, like, rip the skin off our fucking faces and fuck us again. Continuously fucking us over and over again. With no give in return, really. Maybe a few breadcrumbs occasionally. Here you go, peon. Here's little breadcrumbs for you. This is essentially kind of how things are running right now, unfortunately. But so just keep that in mind, you guys. Keep in mind that things are coming, quite arguably, unless peace deal is done, which doesn't seem like it's really going to. And expect this stuff to keep going for the next couple of years. Just saying.
Sycophants behind him. Oh, he's making a joke. We should all laugh because we're on camera. We need to make him know that we love his jokes about stealing millions of barrels of oil from a country. Okay. They just figured this out. So what will Iran do next? What will the Trump administration do? And why?
For the last month and a half. Well, I actually think you're very wise to point out or to question whether there was ever a deal to begin with. As you know, I was telling you for the last month and a half that there is no deal. This was all the concoction of Donald Trump. And I posted on my Twitter page today at We the Brandon something that he said there reminded me of what he was saying in February of 2020 about COVID, how by April it was all just going to go away and everything will be fine again and not to worry about it. This is, Norman Vincent Peale, the power of positive thinking. That's what, this is what Trump is exhibiting here. I would argue that whatever oil he's talking about going through the Strait of Hormuz, if those numbers are anywhere near correct, which we don't know, we can't confirm, I would say that that's like, 8 to 10% of the normal traffic that's going through. That ain't going to save us from the coming economic storm that's set to hit. It's not going to save us. I don't think there was a deal, though. I think that Trump is deeply committed to this war because his partner, the senior partner, Benjamin Netanyahu, so badly wants it, and he's going to follow Netanyahu's lead.
Now, how do you think this could have worked? I mean, I was like, okay, David Copperfield, like, ooh, look over there, the oil's on the other side now. Or did somebody actually pay the Iranian toll? or is it a lie? What do you? Oh, and then a follow-up question: if we can actually do this, is it wise to brag about it because we can't do it again? So I'm just like, what does this mean logistically?
Well, it's interesting because on the one hand, you do remember when the Iranians first blockaded the Strait of Hormuz, some of our allies, like the French and the Japanese, actually paid the toll. They paid it off, and they were able to move some of that of their supplies through. So it's possible that the great unsaid secret here is that the world is paying the toll already. They're just not admitting to it. Maybe that's it.
I'd argue that's very, very probable. Like I said, we'll start finding out more after the 4th of July, by the way, which most people in America don't, like, they celebrate Independence Day, but then they don't fight for it. It's like they're fucking brain dead. I'm just saying. Like, I've always been a patriot and fought for the First and Second Amendment. Always been proactive and, like, a pro supporter of the shit, you feel me? And, like, the Constitution, always. Even as a liberal, like, just saying, I was a true liberal when I was a kid. I wasn't a fucking pansy. Because it didn't exactly take much brain power to think what happened if we don't have guns or First Amendment. Just saying. I just came to more realization of how much we don't have of our First and Second Amendment rights. You feel me? Quite a bit. More so the first one than the second one, but they're gonna try to come for the second one. They always do. Just saying.
Also
highly doubt it'll work though.
Though I don't know how they're accounting for it. I don't know. I just don't believe the numbers are accurate. I don't believe anything the president says on this issue anymore. I think he has proven. I mean, remember this yesterday morning, the president was tweeting that we were going to have a deal with Iran in 2 to 3 days. And that was the 68th time. Internet sleuths went on and counted how many times the president has said. It was 68. That's
How does that make you guys feel? 68 times of our current poster child saying, oh, we're going to have a peace deal with Iran, and then continuously having Israel, mostly. We have to give, some slack due where it's due, right? Because it's not just Israel. The U.S. also wrote these peace negotiations as well, too. And they have continuously been doing it by allowing Israel to do all the bombing that's been doing. Just saying. And Trump gave shit to, or kept saying Obama was shit for, all the bombings and stuff like that in Lebanon. Yet, what's happening right now? Oh, wait, he's allowing it. Being a hypocrite.
The 68th time in the last 2 months he said we were, X amount of days from a deal. I don't believe that he was serious. There is a possibility also that the number of oil or the barrels of oil they're counting, excuse me, is oil that's being moved not through the Strait of Hormuz. This is just my own little pet theory. I have no idea if this is accurate, but the way I'm looking at it, the way they've been fudging the numbers on so many things, the Saudis have been moving the oil supplies coming out of the Middle East, coming out of Saudi Arabia, that usually leave through the Strait of Hormuz. They've been pushing it through the pipeline to the Red Sea and then funneling out into the ocean on container ships via the Red Sea and the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb. Now, this was energy that would have normally gone out of the Strait of Hormuz. It is possible they're conflating some of these numbers. And it's also possible, by the way, we know that the Iranians, at least indirectly, are moving their energy, some of it, through the Shadow Fleet network. So the accounting here is so bizarre. And the fact that the president has been caught lying multiple times about even the nature of a deal, let alone when one is going to happen, I would take what he says about the oil as a grain of salt. The reason the oil prices...
You should do that with anything anybody says, by the way. Just always take things people say with a grain of salt. Some people get a grander grain of salt because they've proven to be very trustworthy. Or spot, like redacted news here, like Brandon, like me, etc. I don't sit here and just bullshit things willy-nilly. I do my research on things, you guys. I might misspeak occasionally, I am human, and I do my best to, make sure that I don't do it, but I do occasionally do it, and then I fix it whenever I do, and I'll call myself out on it if I do. But like, at this point now, you have to take anything that comes out of the president's mouth or his administration's mouth with a like small grain of salt, because we haven't gotten most of the things they've said. Just saying, except for like JFK or RFK Jr. and like the health sector. The health sector has been Trump's golden trumpet, I would say at this point. And it's probably going to be his golden trumpet, if any, because he's not being the anti-war president that he promised he'd be. It was shocker there. A career politician broke that promise. We thought, oh, he's not a career politician, he's a businessman. He's like, first off, I remember back in the days of rock and roll, you don't trust the suits. And then second off, you don't trust the feds. And most importantly, you don't trust career politicians, which Trump had became one as soon as he started running for his second term. I'm just saying.
In the United States are so relatively low compared to the actual price on the market of a barrel of oil is because we've been flooding the market with our strategic petroleum reserve, and the president every day manipulates the markets with his presidential statements saying, don't worry, deal's coming.
And this is a true statement. So an example of that, right, you guys? So within the past couple of days, actually like the past 48 hours, if not 24 hours, right? I saw that cryptocurrencies were down by like 10%, right? Which is not fairly indicative of something not going as was said in the media, particularly revolving around with the US currently. And then it shot back up like 10 to almost 20% as soon as there's basically like, oh, peace deal talks and stuff like that going on. I'm just saying. I've been seeing it go up and down 10% in the last 2 to 3 days, in a matter of like 16 hours or less, actually, even. Just because of like stuff like this on social media, et cetera, being said by the president or his administration. Like, liquidating and like influencing markets, because of power, essentially, and like doing it so they arguably can make money. Just, I'm not saying that's necessarily the case with the president, but like nonetheless, somebody says, "Oh, peace deal's coming," things normally go green and go up, and then when the truth comes out, it goes back down about 10 to 20%. Just saying. But there are key indicators and stuff like that.
So that's what's depressing the.
Oh, and then. So like I'll say this right now, you guys, be prepared, because in the next month, by July 4th or American Independence Day, gas prices are probably going to go up because we'll be at the bottom of the barrel of our oil reserves. And if, all of my sources are correct and stuff, which they generally are, so just saying. These are experts in the field, right, that I listen to through, Redacted, Russell Brand, Alex Jones, etc., right? I generally listen to the ones that are not biased and only are biased towards the truth, right? But so, like I said, it's just one of those things. You guys need to pay attention. Prepare for the 4th of July. And, like, shit getting expensive. Great way to celebrate the 4th of July, by the way. You're probably not going to be able to afford fireworks or go out and do shit, etc. Especially if, you've been splurging your money and spending it like a dumbass, not like thinking about how this is going to affect the world economy, which most people are, or a lot of people are. Just saying, guys, like, be prepared for the gas prices to really start going up and to, be in hermit mode or be in like reserve mode. This stuff's going to go on for 2 to 3 years, but you guys are going to start seeing more of the economic effects here in America in like the next 3.5 weeks, roughly, give or take. Again, as long as, my sources were right, or are right, which again, generally they are, but like, never know. Sometimes people are wrong. Just saying. Can't always be right. It would be boring if that was the case. Just what, the 10th? But just be prepared for that shit.
Price of oil in America today.
I want to get back to like what happens next as part of this quote unquote deal. What are the next moves you think are going to happen here? But some other lie that, which it sounds like a lie to me. And I'm no military strategist, but we had Colonel Dan Davis on the show yesterday who outlined how if a Shahed drone fired from Iran strikes an Apache helicopter, there would be nothing left of said helicopter. But President Trump told Fox's Trey Yinquist today that this drone was fired. It went in some sort of a straight line and flew almost into the back like a backseat passenger into the Apache helicopter and was sort of just smoldering and smoking behind the two pilots who were sitting in the Apache helicopter, sort of sitting there. A Shahed drone is like the size of a small watercraft. It's like the size of this thing is pretty freaking large. It's like a motorcycle. Anyway, and it didn't blow up, and it sat in the back like a third passenger. They gently brought the Apache helicopter down into the water. They escaped, and now they're safe. And Hollywood should make a movie about this.
Don't give them ideas; they will. Michael Bay's already doing the Downed Pilots movie,
right.
So
that's right. That's right.
Is he really?
Yeah, the Downed Pilots story.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
So this was the other thing I was talking about, basically. So this is arguably a false flag. The colonel that they had on the other day, or the military insider that they had on the show yesterday, right? Basically, they talked about a Russian Times post on social platform, or on a social platform, basically saying that the Apache helicopter was, hit by the Iranian drone, right, and stuff like that, which the military insider said, no, that's not the case, because if it did, it wouldn't have gone down like that. It just would have been blown to smithereens. Because, again, like I said, it's a fairly large type of drone, right? It's not like your standard size. It's like the size of a motorcycle, right? Which, if something like that hits an Apache attack helicopter at high velocity, I'm just saying, it's more than likely going to, blow it up. And would leave no survivors.
It's based on a book. Yes, a book that's coming out in September. It's the guy who wrote 13 Hours, and Michael Bay's already secured the rights to that. So I'm sure Michael Bay will get a sequel, and he'll do the downing of the Apache next. But no, your question is very apt. So I'm not a drone expert, but I do track drone development as part of my day job at 1945.com, where I'm a senior national security editor. So I am aware of the underlying capabilities and technologies, notably of the Shahed drone, because that has really kind of sent shockwaves, this technology that Iran has developed. That sent shockwaves through the whole sort of community when it first really went into widespread use during the Ukraine war. And it's just been, every generation is getting more advanced, and this is an Iranian system. So I am very doubtful of the dud story. What I was told, and what it looks like might have happened, is the Iranians were looking to make a statement. They knew that the general pathway and the general timeline that we deploy the Apache to do these operations where they're sweeping the coastline for drones, we know the Iranians are able to anticipate that. They have enough overwatch on our side of the Strait of Hormuz that they're able to figure out when we usually deploy these systems. Also, there was somebody explaining yesterday that the Iranians are likely listening to air traffic control communications and figuring out when the Apache is leaving one part of the airspace, switching over to another, and they were able to anticipate when that Apache was going to be where it was, and they were able to sort of pre-position the drone in its general area, and then it either attacked the Apache from the side or above. It was a target of opportunity for the Iranians, who were looking to hit an American system, I believe. And I don't believe it sat in the back like a third passenger. I think what happened was it hit the tail rotor, and I think that the pilots were lucky enough to have enough control. If anything about the official story is true, I think the pilots were lucky enough to have some semblance of control, and they were able to set the thing down relatively safely. Of course, I also think it's very interesting, and this reminds me of the downed pilot story.
So, quick mention before we continue, guys. The military insider from Redacted show yesterday, by the way, too, when he was dissecting the video that Clayton and Natalie and the Redacted team showed, right, from Russian Times posts on social media. literally, well, Natalie actually pointed this out too, but basically it hit over, like the video was showing over land, and the report said this was like over a body of water, right? And there was no water to be seen at all in the photo. And basically it's like an old video that was essentially repurposed and posted on Russian Times media, like whether intentionally or unintentionally, you know. Maybe a mistake was made on their end, but nonetheless, I'd argue it might have been like a like false flag thing to get people instigated, or more so, rather like to have America like get into a war so that way like Russia can sit there and help out Iran, you know, and China, and then basically, you know, like further benefit, right? Just saying. So like the video that Russia Times did post on that was a dud, basically. It was a nothing burger and old footage, and was not very logical at all for like the type of drone that was used, basically, on the Apache attack helicopter.
Remember in the downed pilot story, supposedly the Wizzo was detected because the CIA had a secret monitor inside the pilot's body. They used this device that they give to all the pilots, supposedly, and they were able to track his heartbeat from the satellites in space. Well, the story from the Apache is those guys were rescued by a drone ship. It's the first unmanned rescue of a manned system that was downed in enemy waters. To me, that whole thing just sounds fantastical. It sounds like this is somebody propagandizing again to cover up for the fact that the president is really screwing things up right now with his war of choice.
I mean, it plays like a Wile E. Coyote, like, oh no, throw it overboard.
Well, yeah, discombobulator. Remember, that was Trump's turn of phrase for the supposed weapon that we used in Venezuela, when in reality, there is no weapon. He made a deal behind the scenes with certain elites in Venezuela to turn off the air defense system before we landed. There was no discombobulator. I mean, this guy's whole shtick is like something from a 1950s B-movie science fiction film.
Well, don't you hate when people say, I told you so? Yeah, that's me, actually, because I did tell you. Sorry, but I told you some goal. Natalie and I to 20.
Ask you what you did reportedly launch a retaliation on the U.S. Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. Now, the U.S. continues to classify
That's Bahrain is basically where Israel attacked, right, to undo the peace negotiations that were going on, right, as well too, and the U.S. did apparently too with the water supply and stuff like that as well. So, just to give you guys some context.
Injuries and death counts. So we can't really know. So we're acting as if nothing happened, but we don't know that. Do you know anything that we don't know?
I have been told, and this, I heard another commentator talking about this as well, but I'm not able to get into any further details. I have been told that a significant system was hit at the Fifth Fleet HQ, and it was about $1.5 billion worth of damage. And basically, the termination of that system at the hands of Iran has basically created a very significant security gap for what we had remaining in terms of our situational awareness in the region to be able to track and protect against incoming missile and drone attacks. So that is what I have heard, and I have no confirmation of that. But we do know, because the government did, I believe the DOD or the War Department did confirm they lost a $1.5 billion piece of equipment in Bahrain in that strike. Needless to say, the Iranians are targeting very specific systems in the region that belong to us. And it's normally early warning radar. It's normally the kind of systems that we would need to link up with our air defense interceptors, which are already running dry anyway. But it's the kind of
kind of like our oil barrels and our oil supply.
It's basically the eyes and the ears for the regional air defense system that we've.
Oh, and then also, you guys, I did think about this earlier when I first watched this, right? But like, fact of the matter that our air carriers are running low on like energy and stuff like that. and supply, it's very like, what you call it, reminiscent of like Israel at the start of everything right this year, and like the Iron Dome, quote unquote, the indestructible Iron Dome, and how basically they were getting willed down on everything and needed to have Big Daddy US come to save them and stuff like that, right? Because Iran was essentially, like kicking their ass and trying to save face and lie that they were getting their asses beat because they're cowards and really can't do anything on their own as like a corrupt governmental body. But like, it's what's going right now with the US's military over in the Middle East is, and in general, you guys, because we're using our reserves on a lot of things in this fucking war. Just saying. So we're whittling down our own defenses, mind you, that we should be only using for us to help out Israel, or like the corrupt Israeli regime. And our military is running out of shit, just like Israel's is running out of shit. And, basically, if Iran just keeps doing this, which this has been their plan all along, if they keep, like, having to fight, they're just going to sit here and whittle us down over time. And our supplies down over time. And the U.S. and Israel are one and the same in that essence. Just saying.
Established along with the Arab states and the Israelis, and they have been systematically degrading. Iran has systematically degrading these radar towers and these sort of eyes and ears for the air defense network. And I think that it is in anticipation for, probably, if they need to in Tehran, the initiation of a much bigger round of strikes that will use this relative blindness and deafness now they've created in the U.S. air defense system in the region to really pummel hard targets of opportunity throughout the region. And again, even if we had the eyes and ears fully back that we had before the war began, we're already running low on interceptors. So even if we had the ability to track fully incoming Iranian weapons, we're running low on the ability to knock them out of the sky. This is one of the reasons, by the way, that Apache is up there. We're using the Apaches to try to shoot down drones and do missile intercepts. We're using the $2 trillion over 25-year F-35 program, the British are at least, to shoot down incoming drones and missiles, which are a fraction of that cost. And we're using now, and I think this part's cool, we're retasking the A-10 Warthog to basically use its massive gun to shoot down drones and missiles as they come in, because our air defense systems are so depleted on the ground. So,
we're going to be absolutely fucked if we keep doing this, you guys, militarily. Like, these guys are retarded. Just saying, anybody that thinks what we're doing is okay in the military is just ungodly fucking stupid. But look, this is being intentionally done, you guys, by the Committee of 300, the Olympian Council, and like the elites of the world. Like, this is all being done, and Trump's being used, whether he's aware of it or not, to destroy the old status quo, destroy the U.S. economy, so that way the new technocratic regime can be installed and send it. Like, taking out the old status quo, or, draining the swamp, but only so that way, like, more mutated and, like, swoller fucking swamp monsters can sit here and just take the place of the old ones that were there before, right? Basically, they're just, oh, we're draining the swamp, drains the swamp, only to fucking refill it later, essentially, and then people find out basically that there's fucking mutant alligators that are 4 times the size of the bad alligators that were there before inside the swamp. I'm just saying.
We are basically lying supine for the Iranians to, take advantage of whenever they want. They keep degrading our ability to detect their attacks and to defend against their attacks.
Someone
Brandon,
in the chat said, if I could just give this person credit, some strategy, because you lose a $1.5 billion system for just a little drone attack.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Which is the
crazy.
point. So this is the point of the Iranian strategy, the Russian strategy, actually the Ukrainian strategy to some degree against the Russian as well, and any potential war with China over Taiwan, their strategy, it's all the same. The strategy is wars of attrition through depletion. And the Iranians are keenly aware of how expensive our systems are. They're very aware of the fact that our entire defense industry is geared toward building a small number of exquisite next generation systems that are
big fancy things that, you know, cost a buttload of money and aren't necessarily like the most cost efficient. Meanwhile, all these other countries built things that are very cost efficient and very effective. They're just not, you know, state of the art, quote unquote, you know, ahead of the times, etc. And they don't cost nearly as much, and they have that in abundance, and then they proceed to sit there and use that to take out countries that don't want to be fancy about shit and be all the next generation things. Meanwhile, we're depleted in our defenses and having things that, you know, are expendable. It's essentially what it is. We have things that aren't very expendable that we're tooting about, and, you know, that's mainly what we have. And then we don't have very much expandable technology, which can be destroyed and we can just, you know, rebuild relatively easily, and not for billions and billions of dollars. They wonder why we're struggling so much. If they are, like I said, it's all this shit's political theater, you guys. Just listen to David Icke. It's all political theater. I can't unsee it being political theater, you know? Like I said, it's just a means to crash the old system to bring in the new one and to destabilize the world economy, so give up more of our, you know, money, power, and liberties, you feel me, that are our birthrights as sovereign, intellectual, spiritual, conscious beings to these corrupt institutions, you feel me? So that way they have more power and control of us, and essentially actually install the real matrix that you guys aren't gonna like, right? Like, that's in the movies, basically. You already are a battery for beings in the fifth dimension, in the astral realm, but like it's going to be on a whole physical level if you guys don't wake up and fucking demand this shit to stop. I'm just saying, like, we have to do it together. If we don't demand it to stop, it's going to happen. I'm just saying, I don't want the Ready Player One or the Matrix worlds to actually fucking exist in this physical reality. Just saying, I don't want fully VR digitalized realities that essentially, you know, lie and like don't give you the truth, right? Because it's all just a fabricated reality. I'm just saying, like, that is thing that's going to come here soon if people don't get their shit together. That, and you just look at an anime like Sword Art Online. That shit told us about the dangers of the stuff as well too. Like, there's plenty of reasons why. Like, I'm very skeptical about like any sort of thing that's going to use full dive technology for VR, because our people are way too corrupt to do that stuff. It's not. It's literally going to be the exact same thing as what happened in Sword Art Online, but on steroids. Basically, be what happened when Sugu took over that shit. Just less covertly. But so in terms of like what's going on, right, and the fact of the matter that peace deals are going on, right? How about the fact of the matter, NBC News talks about 20,000 Iranians losing access to drinking water after 2 reservoirs were reportedly struck in U.S. strikes. Just saying, we want peace deals, yeah, we do shit like this. You strike the water supply, yeah, you're truly liberating the people of Iran and, you know, truly striking good peace by taking out their water supply. Just saying. Just saying. And this is all to, you know, protect Israel. Insert the Veggie Tales, meaning like, I must help save Israel. And exactly what the fuck's going on with the U.S. right now. But yeah, peace deals pretty much never on the table, I would argue. Just saying. If they generally were, they wouldn't have put extreme Zionists like Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, who was sucking the dick of Bibi Netanyahu and arguably was, touched by him as a little boy and became his little surf boy as a kid, potentially, just saying. It's not uncommon in these corrupt elite circles. And Jared Kushner's, I don't know, he definitely looks like somebody who do the bidding of an evil man. Just saying. They're not the best people to fucking have for peace negotiations with a warring country, right? Just saying, especially when they are extremely biased towards the opposition of the people that we're trying to make peace with, quote unquote, right? Just saying. Don't be shocked if more peace deals get announced and then it just gets fumbled yet again by Israel or shit like this. Just saying, guys. Prepare for the fourth. Just saying, watch as inflation goes up and the economy starts going to shit to crash the dollar and the old system to bring in the new one around July 4th. Just saying, you guys. Just saying. Because we are using our oil reserves right now and we're not getting enough oil to replenish the supply that we're using, right? Because of, our nimrotic and moronic fucking president and or his administration, you feel me? Again, either he's, conscious of what he's doing or he is an old man who is being Sleepy Joe and he needs to get the fuck out of office because he is too deranged. It's just like when you hear Alex Jones saying that he's sitting there banned from the war room because he was having fits of rage, you feel me, and saying give me the nukes and stuff like that, or give me the nuke codes and all that, so he can blow them up type shit, basically. Can't remember what the name of the fucking mental disease is, but go watch Alex Jones's podcast talking about that stuff, you guys. Just saying. He talks about that basically. I don't think it's onset dementia, but maybe it is. But it's a fairly common one in older people. You feel me? So yeah, like I said, take a look at all that stuff you guys want. I would not expect these peace deals to go through. Even my spiritual masters, Master Sri Akashana he's been saying that don't expect the shit to, go away easily. Be in, save mindset. He's normally not the one to say save. He's normally get out there, go invest, stuff like that. Treat yourself. He's right now you guys need to save and be prepared to invest over time, DCA, and invest whenever things really hit the bottom, because that's ultimately when things are going to start going up, because it's crashing the old system to bring in the new one. Just saying, you guys. Another example yet again of that. That's what this shit in the Middle East is for. Chaos before order, you guys. But so let us know what your guys' thoughts, opinions, and concerns are about everything going on in Iran and these supposed peace talks in the comment section down below or the chat. And let us know. Do you guys think that genuine peace deals are going to be made anytime soon? Or do you think it's going to be, no, we're having solid ones here in, a couple of days. We'll have a solid peace deal in a couple of days. And then, more of Israel bombing Lebanon or other countries that Iran said were no-go for the peace deal. Let us know inside the chat. We will go ahead and switch over, though. Go and play some Marvel Rivals here. I do not remember that game. Wait, that's right. I have to go into fucking Twitch to sit here and do this shit now.